Hello everyone, this is Lori from the Watchman's Final Hour, and I don't want to keep you long, but I want to make a point that I really believe we are in the final stretch. Yesterday I had a nap, and lately it's funny, I've been fighting wanting to take naps, but I felt like I'm really tired, I need to take a nap, and I really believe sometimes we need these naps because the Lord wants to say something, and sometimes it's not in the middle of the night. But he calls us to rest and sleep during the day so he can give us something. But it was interesting. I got up from this nap and usually right away you think, oh, I just dreamt, oh, yeah, well, this is this, right? Well, I wasn't pondering anything. My mind was blank on having had any dreams or anything. And I'm walking into the house. There's a playroom. We call it the playroom, but it's an entertainment room type of place. And after the nap, I'm walking into the house, and literally, my kids, you see them all in the dining room, my girls all chatting, and all of a sudden, I literally stop, and right at the start of a vision the Lord started to give me, and this vision was of me being in a room where there was a medium-sized, good-sized man next to me. He was, I would say, who knows, it could have even been Jesus speaking. It's really interesting. But it was a man who was taller than me. And he was speaking to a crowd that was surrounding this room all along the walls. And he was stating about how all the signs are here now. And that Jesus can come at any time. He was just kind of like really talking to them about all of that. I don't remember the exact words, but I remember it hitting in my heart. And so I looked up at him excitedly and I said, he could even as soon as next weekend. He can come as soon as next weekend. And I don't quite remember him looking at me, but there was no response from him. But it wasn't a negative thing, nor was there was no emotional charge one way or the other, whether it was a positive or a negative. But I turned right away. I wasn't faltered by it, and I quickly turned to people around us, and I said, hey, he could even come as soon as next weekend. And then it was over. And my girls started to try and chat at me. I'm like, oh, no, don't talk to me. I just had a vision. And I'm like running back to my room to go write it down. And so... it's funny how, I can't remember the exact wording, what I said. Like I said something like, even as soon as next weekend is what I did. He can come as soon as next weekend. And that's the main point. I think it's interesting that we really are in that season, and we don't, we know that it could be a feast, it could, obviously the Feast of Trumpets. Some have said that entitles all three feasts. It's not just the first feast, which is called the Feast of Trumpets. Now, I've only heard one person say that, but the Feast of Trumpets is more specifically this upcoming one, this next weekend, that starts at dawn of the 9th and goes through the 11th. So it's actually about a full 2-day feast time frame. So you're not looking at a day or an hour, But which I really do believe there is some truth to that. Some people try to say, oh, it's an idiom. Oh, it's this. Oh, it's, give excuses for it. But I know that when Harold Camping was touting a specific time and a specific date, the Lord would just scream in my heart that he was going against the word. And that if he kept doing that, God gives those second chances, but when you keep doing it, it eventually starts to impact the world negatively against Christ, and he has to remove that person. So he ultimately, I'm sure, had to deal with, Harold, sadly enough, had to take him out because of what he was doing. But, and I really believe that. But I just want to review a few things real quick. The Lord had me go back to 2016, what he said to me and to a couple of other people that many of you probably know, like Zab Pask. I'm not quite sure if that's how you say her last name, but then also so Susan Waldrop, she had a word that was given too around the same time during this fall. So this is the third fall since 2016, the fall of 2016, which is interesting too, because God, a season comes in threes, right? So 3 seasons, three falls. It's very interesting to note. But on August 19th of 2016, the Lord said to me, Jesus' hand is on the doorknob. So, I woke up saying it, Jesus' hand is on the doorknob. It's like I visually saw it and I spoke it, but what I remembered was what I spoke and the words I saw of what I spoke. September 3rd, which is today, but it was in 2016, the Lord led me through a clearly directed Bible study to reading where Jesus comes up to his disciples the 3rd time, and he says, "It is enough, the hour has come." And then he's taken, obviously, at that moment, all the soldiers come up and they take him to be crucified. And I find that very interesting. So that's the word he gave me, what stood out was, "It is enough, the hour has come." And then September 6th of 2016, I had a vision, very clear vision. I can still remember it as clear now as I did then, of an earthquake. And it was a very odd earthquake because it was as if the land was almost falling out from under my feet a little bit. And I looked up to the trees and the sky was wobbling. And I look over and I see a man go flying through the air. So I'm not quite sure what that means. Okay, but then around that time, there had been a CME, and it was expected to hit between the 6th and the 7th of 2016. So, if you want to look at it as this week, what we're facing, the 6th, earthquake, sky wobbling, not sure. A CME going to hit between the 6th and 7th? I don't know. But then on September 7th, Zab Pask had a word from the Lord. It was a verbal vision. She saw it too, the words. And what was said was, "I have signed my name beside every seal." So there's a completion on that. When they sign their name, it's pretty much stating that now it can actually happen. So, many of us believe that a lot of the first 4 seals started right when Jesus went up into heaven after he was resurrected. And it's possible that he did open the first 4 and that they began at the beginning of the church age and began to increase and increase and increase and will peak. They will peak just before or during the tribulation. So we do know that all of these seals look very prime. All that are happening, the 5th and the 6th seal, everything looks like it's all coming to be. But on September 12th of 2016, the Lord said to me that all that is in the book of Revelation will begin to come to pass. And then he gave me a vision some other time. I don't know if it was a nap, but around on the same date, he gave me a vision which also had a translation where there was a male presence. It was very interesting. It was almost like there was an angel involved and the Holy Spirit was involved. But it was really like the final stretches here. It's like right now we have literally got to be walking in hand with the Lord for every step we take, listening for everything he tells us to do and moving upon it, because we could be in danger, I believe. So we need to be very, very sensitive to hearing what he says to do and doing it. That's the understanding I got from the vision. And then on September 14th of 2016, Susan Waldrop was given, get off the grid, something about being off the grid. Now, you could take that in a lot of different ways. She also gave some understanding about California earthquakes, waves, bombs, end time events. So she was really given some pretty clear moments around this fall of 2016 that kind of seem like end time events that are coming or that are right here possibly about ready to all happen. But I wanted to state too that of the last few things the Lord has given me since 2016, on August 21st of 2017, he led me to look. It's ironic that all my unread emails were on that day of the American Great Eclipse were a total of 9/11. So you gotta go figure, So I turned and I looked. It was like the Lord just led my eyes to look over there, but it wasn't the number. It was what he said in my heart. Suddenly, like destruction came into my heart. And I'm gonna say, as I process it now, it was kind of like the sudden destruction. And he brought my understanding back to like the 2001 9/11, and and the devastation that occurred with that it was coming. And so I'm thinking, okay, now we're a year from, we've had devastations come and go. We've had what I believe are the labor pains of a woman. It's not just one pain, but while they are saying peace and safety, that's another thing people haven't noticed. It's not when they say it, it's while they are saying it. And for the last year, they have continued to say peace and safety, peace and, all through the year. And we've had waves of destruction. And that last part of that verse says, and they will not escape. And if you haven't noticed that a lot of these destructive instances, floods and hurricanes and fires, people have not been able to escape them. And it's been like a quiet, and then all of a sudden an intense moment, tense time, and then quiet, and then an intense time. So it has been like labor contractions. It has been like labor pains. And I believe we are looking for one moment that is going to start the tribulation. We are going to have a final sudden destruction. And it's possible it's sometime around 9/11. It could be on 9/11. It could be, like I said, there's 2 days of the Feast of Trumpets. And a lot of people have really felt in their heart that when God mentioned that we will know the season, that it would be a feast day. Well, it's possible. Any of these are possible. But we do know, like I said, when God gave me that word yesterday, he didn't say it's on the Feast of Trumpets, did he? He said, all the signs are here now. And Jesus can come at any moment now. He can come at any time from this point on. So we literally, all the signs are here. All the signs have converged. And now we are moving into the season where Jesus is going to come with the catching away, which I believe he has shown this catching away throughout the Bible at least 7 times. It is not just a one word rapture that everyone wants to call it. It is going to happen. It is a one of the catching aways. And yes, but the Lord said to me, why is everyone focusing on one rapture? And I'm like, I didn't think about that one. Is there just one in the Bible? No, Enoch, Elijah, Jesus, and possibly even those, someone said that the cloud, that he went up with the cloud. It's possible that those that had come out of the grave when he rose from the dead also went up with him at the time that he ascended. Who knows? the Bible does say cloud of witnesses, right? So it's possible. So then you got to look at, then obviously the one before wrath comes upon the earth, the tribulation. The church is taken out so that God can now work with the Israelites once again. Then mid-trib, you have the witnesses. And when he calls the witnesses up, it's almost like Jesus resurrecting out of the grave, right? It's a similar kind of scenario where dead for 3 days and then being resurrected. It's possible that all those who have died during the first 3.5 years come up with him too. And even possibly some that who are alive and still, who knows, guys? Who knows who else is going to go up with those 2 witnesses, the 144,000, So, and then go figure at the end when the final battle is happening, is Jesus going to leave all those who have died those last 3.5 years or in the grave? No, he's going to call them up too. Come on, let's go. We're going, man. We're doing the final battle. We don't want you to be left behind, left laying in the, not having your body. So I really believe you're seeing a good, at least 7 catching away situations. And also Jesus, when he rose from the dead, what happened to him? He changed in the twinkling of an eye, right? And so we're going to change in the twinkling of an eye. When the 2 witnesses are called up, what's going to happen to them? They're going to change in the twinkling of an eye. So all of these scenarios are repetitive throughout the Bible. So we're all right. So we shouldn't fight about the pre, mid, and post because we're all right. And maybe God is giving to us what we want to believe because that's what we're going to face. When you go and say, well, I believe this and I don't believe that, when you don't believe it, like if you don't believe that you can receive salvation from Jesus, are you going to get it? No. So it's possible that when you say, well, I don't believe that that God's going to take us away before the tribulation, he's going to do it mid-tribulation, you may be one of those. You may have to go through it. If you're the one that says, oh, it's going to be at the end, hey, have fun. No, I'm just joking. But I'm just trying to make it clear, guys, that God takes those up and frees them from, when they love him, he removes them to not have to endure his wrath, God's wrath upon the earth. And I believe Enoch was taken up before the flood, right? I believe it was just before the flood event. So who knows? It's an interesting scenario when you look at it that way. But I'm going to go ahead and let you go, guys. I believe. Oh, I wanted to just mention too. I didn't tell you guys, but it was kind of a glory-filled vision when I had the Mount Horeb. Okay, that was given to me, the words, and I knew when I woke up, I knew it was from God Himself. I mean, that's why it was so glory-filled. The visual. I mean, the beauty of what I saw. The glowing around the world. I mean, I don't know. It just was a beautiful scenery that I saw. But then that was in July 12th of 2018. And then July 2018, I was given a couple visions where we're going to walk in great power and authority by using His name, that we don't need to fear. But we have to say, in Jesus' name, you do not touch me. You speak out to whatever that's coming against you. Also, He's going to provide. You just say, God, I know in Jesus' name that you are going to double the portion of this food to feed everyone here in this group. And you'll look down at the food and it'll be doubled to overflowing. So get ready. I don't know. I don't know what these next, it seems like, well, how can all this happen? How can we walk in authority and see His provision? How can we, have stuff come against us if it's only 1 week left? My perception is we have all the way through possibly the end of October to look for the rapture. I don't want anyone to get disappointed, and I think you shouldn't anticipate this specific Feast of Trumpets to be it. I don't think we should doubt it either, but I think we should just look, as Jesus, I think, was saying in this vision to me, was, hey, the signs are here. I'm coming. At any moment I'll be there. But I think we need to leave it open to that degree, that we know His imminency is literally this fall. It is this fall. If I'm not kidding you, I almost didn't do this video because I'm thinking, Lord, the likelihood of this being up very long before who knows what happens, and maybe the communication systems go out like Ken Peters saw. Who knows? So, but finally the Lord gave me the strength. And I think I've been having to just really fight off a lot of demonic attack. I think we're all facing more of that these days. And we need to really be getting in the Word. God keeps telling me, get in the Word. Don't spend so much time on, listening to what you already know. See, we already know that this is the season. We already know that Jesus is coming, right? Within a couple months or so. We know all of this. So we need to, focus more on the Lord, focus more on reading His Word, praying, warfaring, and I am preaching to myself, okay? I'm preaching to myself. So, pick maybe a couple people who are just updating what's happening in the world, more for just your news. But I think a lot of us, I'm trying not to share, if I can help it, I'm trying not to share a lot of visions that I have in real detail, because God speaks to each one of us. He gives us all these wonderful visions. He's speaking to each one of us uniquely as our own. And I think we just need to grasp that and just continue serving God more outside and not glued to the internet as much. But do as you will. Let the Lord speak to your heart. But July 27, 2018, we had the Great Israeli Blood Moon, which I believe we had when we had the Great American Solar Eclipse. Those fit to Joel 2, I believe it's 2:31, where it says the sun will darken and the moon will turn to blood before that great and terrible day of the Lord. I really believe we're there. On August 28th of 2018, I had a vision of all the women. It was like I was in a military unit of people where there were women around me, and they were wanting their husbands. They wanted to be able to say goodbye to their husbands. And for some reason, they were disappointed that their husbands weren't really doing that. And I looked over and I saw this man going by, and all of a sudden I was given understanding that was my husband. And then I heard the word Foreman. And if you look at Foreman, it's interesting, but the meaning of Foreman is like the leader, the one who kind of leads and directs. And can you guess what this guy's first name is? It's funny. I don't dream of people unless God has people I know, unless God has a meaning of the understanding of that name. So can you guess what his first name was? Moses. So I go running after this guy to be able to go say goodbye to him, but somehow I can't catch up with him. So I end up in the cafeteria sitting, and there's people around me, and I'm talking, and all of a sudden in he comes, and he gives me a light kiss. What's funny is it wasn't sensual. It wasn't, I don't even remember feeling the kiss, okay? It was just kind of like he was saying goodbye because he was going to go off to do what he was called to do. And that's Moses going off to be called to free the Israelites from Egypt, okay? And so that day of the 28th of 28th of August of this year, that's when everything started heating up in the Middle East in regards to war and everything. It just has been really increasing since then. And I also had a couple dreams of going into altered realities. It's almost like a different dimension. And one of the dimensions, I've heard other people say that it was beautiful. It was a beautiful landscape. It had different paths you can go and experience different things that were really cool. It was almost like, level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4, right? And I was so enthralled with it that I kind of got off the path, and I remember saying something or doing something that made a bunch of the fruit off the trees fall to the ground. I'm thinking, wow, the fruit was amazing. It was beautiful. And I ran over to try and pick one up that had fallen on the ground, but they weren't there anymore. So I looked up at the tree and I pulled one off. I started eating like an apple or something. But it was interesting because it made me think of one person who said they got to experience heaven. And they said that you could just pull the fruit off the trees and it made the trees happy. They would actually like clap their leaves almost like in happiness and joy that you were eating their fruit. And then when you eat it, you drop the core, but the core would dissolve and not even hit the ground. It would just disappear. And that's kind of what it was like. And I've never, ever once had dreams of going into altered realities like that. Now, I don't know if that was just showing some technology, new technology that's coming down the road. I don't know where, I don't know. I'm not going to even go there, guys. Don't think I'm a kook, okay? But it's funny. I listened to Begley. Oh, goodness. Forgive me, Lord. I can't remember his first name. Paul Begley. Yeah, well, he was interviewing Mike Around the World. And if you guys get a chance to find that one, it's something about Planet X making an Oktoberfest something. It's really cool. If you can listen to what Mike Around the World said, it will blow your mind of what is coming down in the next, for sure by November, October into November. And it literally sounds like the tribulation. I mean, he said stuff that's going to start happening has never happened on the earth before. And areas will just remember how it got like a circle area up in Siberia and got really cold and shadowed, and people said, oh, that was because of the fires. This is what Mike Around the World said. He said that there were going to be areas that will suddenly freeze, little patches of areas that will freeze, or other ones where the patch of area will just burn, and everything in it will all burn, the plants and everything will just burn. And it's just like, oh my goodness, is it already happening? So you guys might want to check that one out. Very, very interesting. He did that over the last week, and a few days ago, 3 or 4 days ago. So you might want to check into that. But yeah, it's we're facing it. I mean, it's not like the tribulation. I thought there's no way we're going to be here with some of the stuff that he's saying that's going to start happening. So be blessed, everybody. Stay safe, and I hope to see you all soon. Meet you in heaven, meet you in the air, and it's going to be so cool. Oh, but let me tell you real quick, that other vision I had about an alternate reality, it was interesting. It was almost like it was a tree, and a girl disappeared into it, and there was a guy who was working on a car next to it, and we heard the girl crying out for her mom. The mom started to go around the tree, and she was, trying to get in there, and the guy wouldn't let her. No, you can't go in there. And I went up there, and I kind of talked to the guy, and I said, oh, I want to get in there. Well, he finally let me in there, even though he was saying, no, you shouldn't go in there. And when I went in there, it was like, I'm thinking it's like an iPhone where you have all these layers of pictures, in a scroll of pictures. And it was like I saw this eternity, like it was looking at all of history of all these little pictures. And if I went into one, it would be like a another scene or another part of of reality that I would be able to experience. And I'm thinking, how am I going to find this girl in the midst of all of this? And I tried to scroll through it, and it was over, and it was like, whoa. Is this what eternity is going to be like? I mean, we'll be able to go down, path 2, path 3, we're going to be able to jump into a little mirror, Well, take care. God bless. Bye-bye.